never in my life would I have thought a British Barbara like with a sunflower hat like this would be like, yeah, you want your fucking country back? Yeah, in it, shut the fuck up in it. Love that.
Glastonbury is apparently a giant music festival that happens in the UK, broadcast on the BBC. And at this gigantic music festival in Glastonbury, there was a person that I had never heard of, who you also probably have never heard of, calls himself Bob Vylan, right, as opposed to Bob Dylan. And this person got up in advance of a band called Kneecap, which has, of course, gone out and campaigned against Israel and talked about how evil Israel is. And he decided that he was just going to call for the death of IDF soldiers, and also he was going to shout about...
I love these kinds of videos, and it's because they're literally just like crying about how much everybody hates Israel. It's awesome. It's just like, why does everybody hate Israel? Like all he's saying here is just like, everybody hates Israel. I don't like it. Why do you should love Israel instead of hating Israel. Have you thought about loving Israel?
About how the West should essentially fall. Here's what he had to say, shouting at a gigantic crowd of people flying flags for Palestinians, terrorist groups. And
yeah, I don't think you'd give a if they were flying Israeli flags, right? You love that shit. So, you know, spare me.
All the rest. These are the people the West has imported and then trained their own children to follow. Good job, West. Excellent job.
We've done it all right? From working in bars to working for Zionists. And if we can do this, I promise you, lot, you can do absolutely anything that you put your mind to. I'm telling you this. Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Alright, but have you heard this one, though? Death, death to the IDF! Death, death to the IDF! Death, death to the IDF!
This was broadcast on the BBC.
Death, death to the IDF!
Dude. There are tens of thousands of people in the crowd, and they're fucking cheering death, death to the IDF, which of course I would never. I condom. Disavow. I mean, come on. Oh, I condom so hard. Did you notice Ben saying Bob Vylan was imported? Just clear great replacement dog whistle while pretending to speak out against anti-Semitism? No, I did. That was the first thing I noticed, which is why I laughed. He's like, he's doing the Jews did great replacement in our beautiful Western civilization while simultaneously defending Israel. Like, who is this for?
Death! Death to the IDF! Hell yeah, from the river to the sea, Palestine must be, will be, inshallah, it will be free.
So, just going to point out, Hamas is not going to attack that music festival. Not like the Nova Music Festival, because all of the Hamas...
Yeah, because it's not slammed next to a fucking open-air prison as a part of an ongoing apartheid system that is being propped up. It's because it's in England and not in fucking... Or it's in the UK and not in fucking Israel.
Stands are in the crowd at this one. Maybe Hamas is attending. They found some of their favorite bands. This was broadcast in living color on the BBC. By the way, it wasn't just that this human piece of dreck suggested death to the IDF. He also ran around the stage shouting, quote, I heard you want your country back. Shut the f*** up.
How'd you want your country back? Ha! Shut the f*** up. How'd you want your country back? You can't have that. How'd you want your country back?
This part was the best. Like, watching white ladies.
You can't have that. How'd you want your country?
Like, I did not understand what the UK was about. This dramatically changed my opinion. Like, that's awesome. Like, never in my life would I have thought a British Barbara, like with a sunflower hat like this, would be like, yeah, you want your fucking country back? Yeah, in it, shut the fuck up in it. Love that.
Country back. Ha! Shut the f*** up.
Okay, that's what he said on the stage there. So first of all, great ad for Nigel Farage's Reform Party, which says, get all of these people out of our country. Great ad for them. But this is indicative of a rise in not only, it's all the things. It is hatred for the West. It is hatred for the civilization that has granted them all of their power, all of their economic might, all of their privileges, all of their free speech.
He just straight up, he's saying like black people should be grateful. Like, that's what he's saying. He's like, know your place, black person. We gave you all of your economic might. That's crazy. He's like, you're an immigrant. You're permanently an immigrant. And you should know your fucking place. And you should also be deported. Nice.
Right? And that, of course, is combined with the reason why they hate Israel. They don't hate Israel just because it's filled with Jews. Of course, that's one reason. They also hate Israel because Israel, they believe, is an extension of the quote-unquote colonialist West. That is the real reason they hate Israel. So, again, disgusting and vile, but indicative of a new left-wing base that exists across the political boundaries that separate.
No, you don't understand. He hit the air quotes, so it's not real, okay? You see, you don't actually have to make an argument. You can simply present it as wrong,
Glastonbury,
and then that's it. You can simply just go, quote unquote, Western colonial expansion when referring to Israel. And then as long as you hit the air quotes, then everybody knows that the thing that he's quoting is wrong.
isn't the only British institution in clean-up mode today. With hindsight, the BBC now says it should have pulled the plug on this iPlayer live stream on Saturday.
Oh, dude, they're going to fucking put this dude in jail, by the way.
That the sentiments expressed by punk act Bob Vylan, who led the crowd in a chant of death to Israel's army, the IDF, were anti-Semitic and unacceptable.
Why? Why is it anti-Semitic? Can someone explain this to me? It's a fucking army that's doing genocide. Like, if you were to say, during World War II, if you said the death to the Wehrmacht, death to the SS, death to the Gestapo, would this be considered like a anti-German rhetoric? Like, would anybody care? Should anybody care? I don't. And it clearly, no one in that fucking crowd cares either. Because he's calling for the death of innocent civilians, bro. Yes, innocent civilians inside of a Merkava tank. This is so unacceptable. I can't believe you don't understand. These are innocent civilians that might get kidnapped from their Merkava tank at any moment.
The regulator Ofcom today saying the broadcaster had questions to answer over its ability to ensure compliance with its own editorial guidelines.
It should have been foreseeable that there would be problems with broadcasts this weekend.
It's really funny that these guys think that they can just like put the toothpaste back in the tube. Okay? You can't. It's fucking cooked. It's over, man. Why do you think like censorship regimes is going to change the tide of history at this point? Yeah, it's like when Americans say we must melt ice or something. You know what I mean? When we're out in the fucking streets protesting, and then the government's like, well, this is harmful speech. You have to be prosecuted for this. Like, get the fuck out of here.
The decision to broadcast live without any delay should have been reviewed, and that a live feed should have been pulled immediately when the chants death to the IDF began.
On the same stage on Saturday, Northern Irish rappers Kneecap. Their set, like Bob Vylan's, was being reviewed by Avon and Somerset police.
North of Ireland. They're just Irish rappers, okay? They're not Northern Irish rappers. They're just Irish rappers from the north of Ireland, if you want to be specific.
This afternoon, the force said it had begun a criminal investigation into both performances, saying this has been recorded as a public order incident at this time, while our inquiries are at an early stage. The investigation will be evidence-led and will closely consider all appropriate legislation, including relating to hate crimes. The Shadow Home Secretary, Chris Philp, has called for frontman Bobby Vylan to receive the same treatment under the law as Lucy Connolly, jailed for 31 months for inciting racial hatred in the aftermath of the Southport child.
Yeah, this is not what happened to the IDF. So I feel like there's a difference here. You know what I mean? I like that all of the people that were like, oh yeah, if you incited a fucking pogrom, which for the record would be illegal even in America. Like, America has free speech. But if people's statements actually led to this kind of fucking straightforward pogrom, I think like they probably would prosecute that. And in the UK, there isn't the same like unlimited free speech that we have here in the United States of America. But like the idea that what he said about a foreign army currently doing genocide is the same as like demanding that people go out and fucking murder Muslims in whichever town that whichever town they exist in the UK, and then on top of that, an actual pogrom happening. Like, this is not comparable.
Child murders last year. In a social media post, she called for asylum hotels to be burned, with their occupants still inside.
And the court interpreted her language as directly saying,
I guess, to be fair, yeah, Trump did actually incite a riot. He did incite an insurrection, and then we rewarded him with the presidency. So I guess in America, you wouldn't go to jail either way.
to people, go and burn down hotels. So if you look at the sentencing judge's remarks, you will see he emphasized the volatility of what was going on in this country here and now. If it's an incitement to violence, not against individuals, but against an organization, which is a lawful organization in another country, big question mark, what is our jurisdiction over it?
Wow.
I worked for a record label.
Bob Vylan have now been dropped by their management agency, and visas for their US tour have been revoked. There are also calls for their appearance at a festival in Manchester this weekend to be cancelled. They didn't respond to our request for comment on the accusations against them.
I do want to ask about Syria, but first I just want to get very, very briefly.
I might want to go on and on.
How do you decide? Well, my question is going to be very, very.
Oh, all right. Yes.
How do you decide when it's okay to speak about revoking someone's visa?
Wait, UTA? They were with UTA, the men who own United Talent Agency, who now dropped Bob Vylan, help fund illegal settlements in the West Bank, and the ADL, which pretends to oppose bigotry, but in reality is pro-Israel astroturf that exists to suppress pro-Palestinian activism. UTA dropped them? That's fucking lame as shit. Bob Vylan's statement. I said what I said. Take notes. This is how you do it. As I lay in bed this morning, my phone buzzing nonstop, inundated with messages of both support and hatred, I listen to my daughter typing out loud as she fills out a school survey asking her feedback on the current state of her school dinners. She expressed that she would like healthier meals, more options and dishes prepared by other parts of the world. Listening to her voices, her opinions on a matter that she cares about and affects her daily reminds me that we may not be doomed after all. Teaching our children to speak up for the change they want and need is the only way that we can make this world a better place. As we grow older and our fire possibly starts to dim under the suffocation of adult life and all its responsibilities, it is incredibly important that we encourage and inspire future generations to pick up the torch that was passed to us. Let us display to them, loudly and visibly, the right thing to do when we want and need change. Let them see us marching in the streets, campaigning on the ground level, organizing online, and shouting about it on any and every stage that we are offered. Today is a change in school dinners. Tomorrow is a change in foreign policy. I said what I said.
Has had his visa revoked very publicly by the Deputy Secretary of State in a tweet, retweeted by Secretary Rubio and confirmed by other officials. So what's the deal with this law? Does it not really apply unless you want it to? Unless you don't want to talk about it?
Well, yeah, I can't speak to the decisions at the times of when to discuss something of this sort. What we do know is a very public dynamic with individuals. We have a very public policy and procedure and process now that we're discussing regarding national security and how we are handling the visa process. In this particular case, of course, what you're referring to is the tweet from our Deputy Secretary of State, Christopher Landau, that the State Department has revoked the U.S. visas for the members of the Bob Vylan band in light of their hateful tirade at Glastonbury, including leading the crowd in death chants. Foreigners who glorify violence and hatred are not welcome visitors to our country.
Unless they're Israeli, in which case we will roll out the fucking red carpet. Even if you are directly targeted by the International Criminal Court as former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant or current Prime Minister Benjamin fucking Netanyahu. Or if you're South African, if you're a South African refugee of what we have described as white genocide, even though the white population of South Africa does not agree with our assessment, we will welcome you. We will also welcome Itamar Ben-Gvir. Yeah, foreigners who glorify violence and hatred are not welcome visitors to the country. If this were actually a policy, Israelis would be routinely denied visas.
Now, we've stated that when it comes to how we vet people, if they are going to be coming here to be helpful, to be nice people, to be great tourists, or if they're coming for other reasons, that every sovereign nation has a right to decide who's going to come to this country. So we've been public about that standard. And this was a very public event that violated, as you've seen from...
Bro, In the past, and maybe even today, if someone went on stage and said death to America, I don't think we would apply this standard.
The Deputy Secretary's tweet, that very basic standard about the nature of who we want to let into the country. That's all right. It is important the American people support us taking care about who comes here.
Death to nobody soon? No. You can say death to Arabs, death to Palestinians, death to Iran, death to the IRGC. You can say whatever the fuck you want. It's just you can't say death to the IDF. That's the whole point.